All right, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and call to order the DeKalb City Council regular meeting of June 13th, 2022. Roll call, please.
Morris,
Here.
Larson,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Perkins,
Here.
McAdams,
Here.
Verbic,
Here.
Faber, Mayor Barnes,
Here.
8 present.
Awesome. Moving on to agenda item B. Hey, Brian Faber, you want to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight? All right, moving on to the approval of the agenda. I will take a motion to approve or modify the agenda.
So moved.
Point of order, if we want to modify the agenda, don't we modify it right now?
Correct.
Yes. So I would take a motion to modify the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
What are we modifying here?
I would move to strike under resolutions, item K, resolution 2022-049 from the agenda.
Wonderful. All right, we have a motion to remove resolution 2022-049 from the regular agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, so moved by Alderman Faber, seconded by Alderman McAdams. Roll call, please.
Morris,
Or discussion, sorry, before roll call. Any discussion on it? That is the SRO section of
Got
the
it.
agenda.
Okay. Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Faber,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 aye.
All right, so the agenda has been approved to be modified. Now I would take a motion to approve the agenda as modified.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Faber, seconded by Alderman Perkins. Roll call, please.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Faber,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 aye.
Awesome, so the agenda is approved as modified. All right, moving on to agenda item D, presentations, the DeKalb Fire Department 2021 Annual Report. Chief Thomas. Is this your first annual report you've ever given, or have you had to stand in before?
Number one.
All right, we won't be hard on you then, man.
Just say questions?
It'll be brief, I'm not sure if it's accurate. So thank you for having me tonight, and hopefully we'll get through a report here that looks at our activities at the fire department last year and looking forward into next year. So we'll start with our call volume. As you can see, we had a record year this past year, 15% increase over last year in total calls. Our previous record was in 2019, and we beat that by almost 800 calls. So busy year for sure. And as you'll see through the report, you'll start to get some of the more intricate data on what this call volume means. But 81% of the calls were for emergency medical services. So our fire incidents were fairly steady. We averaged somewhere in the 170 to 200 fire call range. We're at 181 last year. 52% of those are residential in nature. And we did have a large dollar loss, but that was due to some specialized equipment that caught fire during the year last year. More specific data, again, is in the main report. But we average about one fire every 2 days in DeKalb. Our ambulance responses are a little different. Again, 81% of our total calls, this slide will show you the blue section of the larger circle is our Medic 3 in District 3. Is the busiest ambulance. Station 1 has Medic 1, is second busiest. Station 2 is less busy. but I'd like to note they're all increasing in call volume. So the smaller circle is represents our reserve ambulances, so they will be frontline in the event of a maintenance issue with a frontline 1, 2, or 3, or they're at a special event. It looks fairly balanced. District 3 is busy, but we try to balance those responses out. Our engine responses are similar. Engine 3 is the busiest. Engine 2 is in second place, if you will, for being the busiest, followed by Engine 1. And part of that is Station 1 is our main house, so the engine crew will jump onto truck 1 when necessary. They'll also take a rescue or a brush truck when necessary. And the engine responses will also assist on serious medical calls. So our heat map, and as expected, most of our calls originate in the most densely populated area of the city, and that would be District 3 in the red-purple part of the map. Our training hours were down a little bit. The 8,530 hours represent ISO-related training. We have certain requirements we have to follow. But overall, our total training hours are over 17,000. So the 8,500 number is simply the ISO requirement. Then we come to our grants section, and you guys know, you've heard plenty of times about SAFER. You've heard about our AFG grants. We've had success. As you know, last year the SAFER grant was meant to help us hire 9 firefighters. In 2021, we were able to hire 3 of those 9. The AFG SCBA grant is another large grant that we plan to execute this year. So you'll see further on that as the year goes on. And then a prior year's grant we were able to execute this year for the fire gear extractor and dryers. In total, we're just under $3 million in those 3 grants. So, and again, as you know, Chief McMaster retired in November, so we'd like to thank him again for his service. But as you can guess, as our officers retire, that has a downstream promotional effect. So you get a number of pictures up there for the incoming officers, and as a result of 2 of our people leaving. And then we also need to hire new people. So in this slide, Sarah, who's in the center, Jackson and Austin, those are the first 3 of the SAFER hires, which were all completed in 2001. So looking forward, we are looking at raising our minimum staffing from 13 to 14 by the end of the year per the contract. That has us taking steps towards NFPA 1710 compliance, which is a staffing compliance. Our training is progressing well for our new hires, and we have high confidence that they're going to be a very good fit in the city's force. We have many software and technological advancements that we've done. Our ESO is a reporting compliance software program. Then we have a new pre-plan platform, which is called Flow MSP. It's a very cool and easy to use application. And our Stryker COT systems, which you guys approved, I believe in December, the power load system, those are now being installed in our ambulances, and we'll show that off as we get more ambulances brought into using that technology. We're also moving our equipment to battery-powered tools. We're expanding our thermal imaging camera use among our crews. Those are the things that see through smoke for us. A thermal imager was very useful at our last week's fire Wednesday night, where the first arriving lieutenant found a victim unconscious through the smoke. So the technology is really helping us do our job well. And then we have 2 new engines coming this year, as you know, and a new brush truck / utility truck. So I want to say thank you to the city council and staff for their support for those items. And we continue to seek out more things that will make us more efficient. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't thank our firefighters local union. Not only did they collaborate with the SAFER, the AFG, and the GEMT sources, but they also volunteer many hours throughout the year in our community. And last year they donated over $25,000 just into our community. Most of that represents their union dues. So thank you to them. And finally, I want to thank our administrative assistants, Natalie Nelson and Rachel Sauber, for their help in preparing the annual report. This is an abbreviated version, so if anybody wants the larger version, please let us know. And thank you for your time. If you don't have any questions, I'll get on with your meeting.
Questions for the chief? Yes, Alderman Faber.
So I won't go after the number 1 call volume item. Second largest call volume item is false alarms. Are those, couple questions. One is, are those like alarm polls, or are they actually calls into our 911 call center?
Yeah, the majority go through the 911 system. Okay. Some of them are poll stations, local alarms. Others come from alarm companies for malfunctions or malicious alarms. So our company officers try to diagnose which it is.
Okay. That was my next question. Was going to be: is it an isolated location? I mean, is it like NIU? Is it the schools? Is there a pattern, or is it just really kind of random?
I would say it's not a pattern. Sometimes if we have malicious alarms, we could locate, we could say this address has many of those type of alarms. And then we work with management to try and resolve that issue. But really, it's across the board and throughout the city.
Okay. Thank you.
Further questions? Yes, Alderwoman Larson.
So with all the new personnel that's coming on, are you guys getting close to having more than 2 and 2 going out? Are you going to be fully staffed and going out?
We are very close. So right now, we are there, albeit for time off. So today, we were at 15, or we are at 15.
Excellent.
Which puts 2 of our engines at 3 people, 2 of 3, 2 out of 3. So day to day, we are minimum or better.
Excellent. Thank you.
City Manager, did you have anything to add or no?
No,
Okay.
it was a good report, and I appreciate Mike's leadership in these early months of this long tenure. And I'm glad you mentioned the solar, or not the solar, but the imaging.
Thermal imaging.
Yeah, thermal, thank you. Different thermal, solar, because that was in fact very helpful. The victim is making progress and should have a full recovery, but might not have been found as quickly as she was without that. So.
Well, I want to comment. I appreciate the grants that you guys continuously seek out and then obviously are awarded. That's just great from a taxpayer perspective. I'm sure our taxpayers love every time you bring home some dollars from the outside. That offsets the burden of all of us. So you guys do an amazing job at that, and I just wanted to say thanks for that. And then also your Facebook page is great. I see posts up there all the time. It's cool to see what's going on with the department. It's a way to have that connection to the fire department from the community itself. So whoever is doing that is doing a wonderful job. Yes.
Well, I say I'd be remiss, although this is a 2021 report. We have a person in the audience who achieved a promotion, well-deserved after a lot of years. Don Fallhaber, who's our Deputy Chief for Operations. That happened in 2022. You'll be reading about it next year, but we're not going to wait that long. So stand up and take a bow.
Congratulations. All right, if there's no further.
I meant to do that, so.
Yeah. It was a brilliant report, Chief. Nice job for your first one. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, moving on to agenda item E, public participation. We have none. Moving on to agenda item F, appointments. Number 1, appointing Steve Doonan, Keith Higgins, Lisa Sharp, and Chuck Shepard to the Building Code Review Board, each for the completion of a 2-year term through December 31st, 2024. Can I have a motion to approve them?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Alderman Favor, seconded by Alderman McAdams. Roll call on that? Yeah? You want me to do both? You're saying do both and then, or what?
Yeah, well, you can do it separately, but you could do a voice vote, it doesn't have to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to do one each, just in case. But all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nays, same sign. All right, the appointment, number 1 appointment passes. Then moving on to number 2 for appointments, appointing Jennifer Salmon to the DeKalb Public Library for the completion of a 3-year term through December 31st, 2025. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Approved by Alderman Verbeek, seconded by Alderman Favor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nays, same sign. All right, Jennifer has been approved. Excellent. Thanks for allowing us to do that expeditiously there, City Attorney Rose. All right, moving on to agenda item G, approval of the minutes. Number 1, minutes submitted by the city clerk. We have none. Number 2, minutes submitted by the recording secretary. Minutes of the regular city council meeting of May 23rd, 2022. Can I have a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Alderman Perkins. I didn't hear, so I'll just say seconded by Alderwoman Larson. Roll call, please. Oh, I wanted to do all in favor.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams.
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 ayes.
All right, minutes of the regular city council meeting of May 23rd, 2022 have been accepted. Moving on to agenda item H, consent agenda. Number 1, accounts payable and payroll through June 13th, 2022 in the amount of $3,741,742.37. Number 2, investment and bank balance summary through April 2022. Number 3, year-to-date revenues and expenditures through April 2022. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderwoman Morris, seconded by Alderman Verbeek. Roll call, please.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 ayes.
All right, this consent agenda passes. And as always, council, a lot of this stuff we never have comment on, so I'm just kind of moving quickly. Oh, Alderwoman Larson.
Not a comment on this, but I believe at one of our other meetings, we wanted to comment if Sasha Cohn was in attendance, and it wasn't as part of the attendance.
Oh.
And so I'd like that to be in the minutes, that he was not present for tonight's meeting.
That's a good point, yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Larson. All right, but also, if I move too quickly on anything, I know I've said this before, but feel free to stop. We can stop the roll call and have a discussion. All right, moving on to public hearing. At this point, what's the time? I'm going to open the public hearing at 6:19. I have no idea if you need a gavel. It just sounded right. And I'm going to open the public hearing, like I said, at 6:19 for Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, CAPER, for program year 2021, April 1st, 2021 to March 31st, 2022. Is there anyone in attendance that would wish to speak to this item? Hearing none, City Manager, is there anything you'd like to add?
Just briefly, I want to thank Joanne Rouse, who every year pulls together the Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report, the CAPER, for our CDBG program. This, as in previous years, covers a period of time from April 1st of 21 through March 31st, 22. So in the current fiscal year, just about the first quarter of the fiscal year. And the purpose of this is to make information widely available in addition to some other means such as advertising to the public during a comment period, which has now ended. How money was spent that came to us from federal sources for a variety of purposes to serve low to moderate income households in our community. And there's detail in your background for the council agenda. There's even more detail online that people are welcome to look at. This is just an informational document. It doesn't require action by you tonight. The public hearing is so we can, in addition to what we've already done, make it clear that we're trying to be very transparent to people about these funds.
Any questions or comments, council? Alderman in favor?
I was just curious if there was any public comments. I didn't see them in the background, so I don't recall. No public.
There was a 30-day public comment period. I have not received them.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:21. All right, moving on to agenda item J, considerations, none. Oh, you know what, Joanne? Thanks for putting all that together. It was nice work. Just wanted to give you some kudos there. All right, agenda item J, considerations, none. Moving on to agenda item K, resolutions. We did remove number 1 from the agenda, so moving on to number 2, resolution 2022-051, authorizing the award of a contract to Current Contracting Incorporated in the amount of $934,183.70 for resurfacing and concrete repairs on 13th Street and 14th Street and various other locations with staff authority to approve change orders up to a combined project total not to exceed $999,577. Can I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman McAdams. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. On April 25th, the council approved a contract with a contractor who took on the first phase of our annual street maintenance program, and this phase focused on Joanne Lane, which, as you know, has seen some major underground improvements, and now time to get the road back from Tilton Park Drive to Islandwood Drive. That was about $521,000 worth of work. What you're looking at right now is, I guess you would say, Phase 2, which targets North 13th and 14th Streets for the paving. Right now, I believe just very recently, in recent days, on North 13th Street, all the underground work is complete now, and of course still need to have the surface put on. But the work now is moved, the underground work is moved to 14th Street, and that will be done, and eventually those streets will be wonderful, but people are navigating as best they can. In the meantime, we're working with them to help them do so. But this phase was let for bid. Current Contracting put in the lowest base bid. We had 2 alternates, and in this case, we've had some adverse surprises in the last couple months with pricing, but the pricing was pretty good. And so we're recommending that we go ahead with the award, which includes a base bid and both alternates, with a contingency to help us with change orders, which in these streets will probably arise. The total amount for this contract is $999,577, just under that million mark. And the council previously committed money for concrete and asphalt work in the Knolls. And so when you add it all up, we're around that $2.5 million figure that you wanted in our, remember the financial planning we did back in the first quarter, wanted to try to commit to on an annual basis. So I think we're right there, and we have some resources left over.
Council? When are we anticipating 13th and 14th be completed?
When will it be completed?
I don't know if there's an estimate.
It's written in the contract that the 13th portion is to be completed by August 12th. That was in coordination with our school district. 14th Street, while not as sensitive, so that'll probably go on a little further, maybe into September or so.
Okay. So any residents from 13th and 14th Street watching tonight, bear with it, but the result is going to be phenomenal compared to what was there before. So hearing no further questions or comments, I would take roll call, please.
McAdams,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 ayes.
Resolution 2022-051 passes. All right, moving on to number 3, Resolution 2022-052, authorizing Brown Equipment Company to make repairs to the Public Works Combination Vacuum Flusher Truck, Vector, in an amount not to exceed $51,026. Can I have a motion?
So moved. Second?
Moved by Alderman Favors, seconded by Alderman McAdams. City Manager.
Well, when your house vacuum goes down, you might go to a local store and think about spending anywhere from $50 to $150. But our Vector and the vacuum portion of its functions is out of service now. And we made, thanks to Andy Rye, we made a very thoughtful and careful review of all the various options that we could follow, had the experts look at this a couple of different times from different perspectives. And the good news is that the equipment otherwise, other than the vacuum portion, it will continue to work. We have confidence, at least for a couple more years. We have trust in the manufacturer here. Vector is maybe the leader in these combination trucks that also do flushing. So got both functions going, and this particular vehicle has been very important in saving backs and arms and speeding up the many different functions, from water main breaks to flushing of storm sewers to vacuuming out brine tanks in our water treatment plants, and a lot of things. It's used almost every day. So what I came to you with was several options. Our recommendation is to repair the Vector that we have at a price of about $51,000 and change. The other alternatives are more expensive and don't promise, except if we were to find $500,000 and get a brand new truck, don't promise that we'll get a lot more guarantee to how long that used truck will go. So I thank Andy for ferreting out all these options for us, but this is the best one I think we can follow.
Council? Oh, Alderwoman Larson?
I just had a quick question. I was looking in the background thing, and it showed the estimate, and it had all of the different items listed of what would need to be repaired, and I'm assuming that includes the labor to install those, because there was never a labor charge, because I know at the farm, it's like the labor is usually the killer compared to what the thing, so that includes labor to have it done.
It does. This is a complete price.
Perfect.
So, and what we're talking about, I should have mentioned earlier. So there's a gearbox that needs to be replaced and a fan assembly for the vacuum portion of the functions. And that's definable, and we feel once that's done, those functions will work now for some years.
Anything else? All right, roll call, please.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
8 ayes.
Resolution 2022-052 passes. All right, moving on to number 4, Resolution 2022-053, authorizing the waiver of competitive bidding and an agreement with Alexander Chemical Company for the purchase and delivery of chlorine for treatment of the city's drinking water for a period of 6 months from June 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2022. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Favor, seconded by Alderman Verbic. City Manager.
You hear a lot about the supply chain issues. This is one in particular that affects our water supply. We do add chlorine. We, from time to time, go out for bid to regional suppliers. We've been working with Alexander Chemical Company for a number of years. They've been coming in low year after year. They notified us about a year ago that the price that we had come to know, about 30 cents per pound, was going to go up, and there have been 2 or 3 increases since that time, and now the price that we're looking at is somewhere around $1.11 per pound. And so that's a huge jump. And we are not alone in observing this. It's not just a regional shortage that is causing this. It's really a national issue. And so water treatment chemicals, as they become scarcer, and they are necessary, we are going to have to pay some more. We thought at this point, rather, that we didn't want to go in a long-term contract because who knows what's going to happen a year from now or 6 months from now. So we're looking, now this happily is not as big as the number that we were just talking about with the Vactor, but the big jump is important, and we're looking now at a price of about $20,000 for this year, and it's a little bit more than that. It's just beyond my purchasing authority, so it comes to you. We recommend a waiver of any further competitive bidding right now. We'd like to stick out the calendar year with Alexander Chemical Company at that rate of $20,000 plus.
Questions, council? Alderman Perkins?
Yes.
So are there any options for the length of supply that we're buying? So we're buying a 6-month supply. Could we buy a 3-month supply, or is the supply chain that erratic where we'd be at risk of?
I'll let Brian
Not
address the
fulfilling.
details of that.
Brian, you'll have to come to the podium. Sorry.
Unfortunately, the challenge now is just trying to find a supplier. When we ask other suppliers, they have a set group of municipalities that they're serving now. They're not taking on additional customers because they're having a hard time getting that, so they're serving their customers. So seeing as Alexander's currently our supplier, they have enough chlorine to supply us. Unfortunately, it's at a higher cost, but it's the same rate that we would get from another supplier as well. They're just trying to serve the customers that they currently have. So our thought was to try to lock this in for the next 6 months and hopefully go out for bid come January and see what we can get at that time. Hopefully things will start to settle down.
But I guess my question is what if we just bought a 3-month supply rather than committing to 6? Or if we just go 3, are we at risk of an outage?
Yeah, we
essentially?
actually tend to not buy like a 6-month supply. It's bought as a need basis because we're only allowed to store so much chlorine on site. And so it's typically ordered about every 3 months, and so maybe 2 months. So we have about 3 more orders to the end of the year that we'll have to make. Currently, that would be at this new price of $1.11.
But we want to lock in the price.
But we want to lock
key.
in the price,
And I
right?
guess that's my question, is why
Yeah.
lock it in?
Yeah.
Better than just spot buy it for a 3-month supply with the hope of some softening in pricing.
Yeah, well, I guess going back to that, I'd like to say we could lock it in because we actually had a contract with Alexander for 30 cents per pound. And then with the supply chain issues and that, they raised that price even though we had a contract because there's just such a shortage of it. And so we're hoping that we can continue to get it at $1.11, but they've been, increasing that price, unfortunately, kind of as needed. That's why we thought we'd wait, another 6 months and go out for bid.
So thought on that, so that we had a contract with them and they're not honoring the contract? They're walking away from it because of price increases that,
Correct.
what's the point of the contract?
Correct. Unfortunately, and we had the same issue with phosphate as well. The supply is so short that they basically are saying that you can walk away from the contract, but there isn't another supplier right now that we can get that from.
It's an industry-wide issue. We couldn't seek to strictly enforce the contract. The risk is a practical one, is the blowback that this supplier will not be our will not bid in the future with us, and the market in general won't. And we've seen, it's not unique to DeKalb. It's been throughout Illinois, and for example, I can think of one town that has adhered to a very strict enforcement of their contract in Normal, Illinois, and they are losing their potential market share in the future because of it. So it's just that consideration that you have. Yeah.
It's a little interesting that that we went forward with a contract, and then they didn't fulfill their piece of supplying our supply chain piece of the contract. That's what it tells me. It tells me they ran short and shipped our material to somebody else, frankly. And then they have to rebuy. I really question the quality of of a supplier willing to do that.
Yeah, they're not the only supplier. I can just tell you, just based on our knowledge of the market, but not taking anything away from your overall analysis. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alderwoman Larson.
And I know with farm chemicals and everything, we had things locked in, and I don't know, it's like something majeure where they can say.
Force majeure.
Yeah,
Force majeure,
there's a-
that contract is null and void because things of nature, whatever, have changed it. So it's not just.
I did want to say, Bart, that I don't think that's applicable, the force majeure
Yeah, they're
clause
not
here.
exercising that clause.
Yeah, so this
Yeah.
is just a pure market consideration. We could have a legal
Oh, okay.
enforcement of the contract, and the problem with that is that we are not going to be very competitive in the future in the market based off of what I think is what we've seen throughout. And that's city staff's collective, the legal and the staff viewpoint on that. Now, on the other hand, a deal's a deal, right? And
How many different suppliers are there available? Is it 5 or is it 15?
The last time we sought quotes, we had 3 quotes.
Okay, so there's a limited number of dance partners, if you will.
Yes, yep, there is.
Okay.
Alderman Favor.
Well, I was going to ask if it was a force majeure situation, if they had provided, a letter. Since they didn't, I would almost be, I don't know, have you had a discussion with the company, or, as a city attorney, have we had you contact them?
Yeah, and for instance, I believe Evanston is the same supplier here. We've reached out to Evanston, and I think Chicago they also supply, so 2 much larger markets than ours, and they had the same exact price increase with Chicago, same contracts too. There is no actual force majeure clause in any of these, and they had the same exact price increases to that we've seen with Evanston, Chicago, and they have decided to not go to market because there's a lot of issues involved with that. Not just the fact that our current supply is treated with this chlorine, and it's difficult to find the other supply, but there is just a limited number of suppliers, and they are, due to the supply chain issues. I don't actually understand the genesis of why these supply chain issues exist, but they as Brian indicated earlier, they are focusing on servicing their existing customers, and they're not getting new additional customers at these rates. So Evanston and Chicago, for example, agreed without hesitation to the price increases, which Brian and I were kind of flummoxed by when they did that. But we did speak to. Long way of answering is that we spoke to neighboring municipalities in the same position, and we had conversations not with their legal but with their sales agent about it.
City Manager.
Yep.
Well, it's been a long time since we've had to wrestle with this in our community and more generally around the country. But and I'm not alleging price rigging here, but if you dig deep enough into financial news on a daily basis, you can find prices for any commodity, right? And you could find chlorine prices too. And so the companies know what the going rate is. And until one company or maybe several decide to break from that and think, hey, for a little while here, we can make some more money by selling a little bit lower. Supply and demand is an issue, but the issue here is the supply right now. So they have the best of the situation, and will that break by the end of the year? I don't know. If supply, something changes around the world in terms of supply of a lot of these commodities or what goes into chlorine, then maybe we have a better day to bring something to you. But I don't see a way around this. That's why it's before you tonight. We have to get some chlorine, and we want to lock it in.
And I don't know if I heard Alderman Perkins's question exactly answered, but we usually buy it in 3-month increments. We're recommending 6-month, and the reason we're recommending going from 3 to 6 is simply we're worried the price is going to go up again after 3 months, and we're trying to lock in a 6-month deal at the current prices. Like, why not just do 3 months again?
Because
Yeah,
they're not
that's fine.
honoring them.
But I guess if we're not
That's
going to honor
correct.
it, why go 6?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
They're not going to honor it anyway.
They could blow us
Well-
off then, yeah.
Well, they could,
No.
but,
There's a
we're-
shortage.
We're at, I hate to say, at a disadvantage. But they might not, So let's hope there might be still some honor somewhere in the market. and
So this
see
is
what
precedent where we could walk away from them in 3 months if we don't want to deal with them because we find a better supplier.
happens. That would be up to the
Secretary. Expire, I mean, they've already breached their contract.
Right.
Technically, so it's the same, and we could say it's the same, that we, in a sense, that you've breached, we're willing to walk away.
My main concern for you and for the people
Yes.
who live and work here in our community is that we have enough to add to our water supply as we're supposed to and under EPA guidance. So I think this is the best way to do it right now, and so that's why we recommend it.
And I guess that's where I'll back up to what my question was, and that's the thought of just saying, are we going to 6 because we believe it will provide them some insurance to continue to supply us? Or if we go 3, are they going to say, well, you're not an existing longer customer, so they're going to walk away from us anyway?
Maybe I'm still operating under old values, but I just think we've shown good faith here. We'll get to the end of the year. I wouldn't recommend a year contract, but I think we get to the end of the calendar year and see where we are.
Alderman Verbeek?
Briefly, I had to look it up. Too curious.
Me too.
NBC Chicago reports that 2 major factors are leading to the shortage. High demand from a pandemic swimming pool boom and a major chemical plant fire in Louisiana that devastated production capacity. That was May 10th
Which was
of this year.
40% of the nation.
Right. But then in another article, industry experts predict the chlorine shortage will end when a new plant is completed and running in January of 2023. That's nationally. So fingers crossed, right, Brian?
That was just what I was going
Okay.
to say.
Alderman in favor?
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing this day to day where I work. So, although again, I'm kind of surprised you're not using a force majeure, but one of the comment that the city manager made is obviously for the safety of our drinking supply, we need to do whatever we can to secure chlorine. We need to be careful not to, because of the allocation out there, we need to be careful with the supplier we're currently working with, because you may not be able to find material on the market, chlorine gas on the market elsewhere, although we should continue to look to see if there's opportunities, buying opportunities while we have that. I would want to see, okay, well, if we change our contract to meet their new terms, then part of that new contract should be that if the market price changes, that our contract price decreases as well.
I believe that's
instead of
part
a
of the
6-month.
current, yeah.
Okay.
I believe that's the current language. I'm basing it off of my recollection and not having it in front of me right now, but I think that was negotiated into it.
Yeah, like I say, the other recommendation is, to Alderman Perkins' point, is if there's opportunities to spot by, and it's a reputable dealer, seller, we should do that, right, to where we can, if it's possible. If not,
And just so you know, I did speak to other suppliers. The price that we're getting through Alexander and what they're selling, the other suppliers are selling to other communities, it's the same price. It's, in fact, I spoke to Sycamore as well. The exact same thing happened to them. They had a contract at a certain dollar amount, about the same as us, and it's gone up to the same thing that Alexander's offering to us. And they have a different supplier than what we have. But and some of those things that you talked about, and Mr. Rose had mentioned, we had already discussed too, about if the supply chains ease, where our prices decrease, and so those things have been discussed.
One last
Sure thing.
question. Sorry to, so are we physically taking possession of this material then, or is it we're buying a right for it to ship at a later date?
No, what this contract, if you can call it, it's the new price is $1.11. I can't guarantee what that price is going to be in October. I'd like to say it's going to be $1.11. I'm not saying that. It's $1.11 in June 1st. We got notified, or beginning June 1st, the price would go up to $1.11. But in May, I think it was 98 cents, and in January it was 60 cents, and back in November it went to 40-some cents. So it's been steadily increasing.
But are they physically, are we gonna, with the contract, we issue the contract for X at Y price? Then are they delivering all of that within a month, 2 months, or are they gonna deliver it over X amount per month over 6 months?
No, we order 30 cylinders, which is the maximum that we can order. They're 150-pound cylinders. And so we ordered that. That's about 2.5 months supply. So
Okay, so we're gonna be fixed on a 6-month supply, but we're only gonna get 2 months delivery increments then, right? Multiples, PO multiples, basically.
yeah,
Or
and by
delivery months.
fixed, I mean, this is really, our recommendation is to go for another 6 months and hope that the supply chains ease and then go out for bid. So I guess, so to speak, we're not really locking in a 6-month contract with them. We could go out for bid in 2 months, or we could go out for bid tomorrow. Our thought was, we're hoping that the supply chain issues would ease some, stabilize, because honestly, I think if we went out for bid now, we have probably one bidder.
Yeah.
And that's Alexander. I'm just, from what I've seen in the market and speaking to other suppliers, I just don't think it would probably be worth our effort right now to do that. So the hope was to lock in at least a supplier for the next 6 months, because quite honestly, we can't operate without chlorine. We have to have chlorine. And so we have a supplier who's willing to supply us right now, obviously not at a price that we were hoping, but for the next 6 months, and like I said, we're looking to reevaluate that when that time comes.
Any other questions? All right. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah.
Roll call, please.
Favor?
yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
McAdams?
Yes.
Verbic?
Yes.
Mayor Barnes?
Yes.
8 aye.
Resolution 2022-053 passes, and great conversation. All right, moving on to Agenda Item L, ordinances, second reading, we have none. Moving on to Agenda Item M, ordinances, first reading. Ordinance 2022-024, amending the municipal code by repealing Chapter 47, Cultural Affairs Commission, and amending Chapter 44, Landmark Commission, and Chapter 59, Economic Development Commission. Can I have a motion to bring it to the floor?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Alderman Favor, seconded by Alderman McAdams. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. There's some considerable background here, just because the three that we have identified, the 3 boards and commissions among the 16 that we have, each had raised some concerns with us, either because they hadn't been meeting, because we couldn't find people to serve, or something else. So I've laid that out for you in some detail. Maybe the first one is the easiest one to deal with. We have had a Cultural Affairs Commission that was created a couple decades ago, and and it hasn't met since that time. There were some original members, but the focus was always very vague, and I believe over time, I wasn't here for all those years, but I believe over time, one board in particular sort of picked up the mantle of that, and that was probably the HRC, the Human Relations Commission. And now more recently, we have the Citizens Police Review Board, which will deal more specifically with certain types of citizen complaints. And in that context, and considering the long time which this has been dormant, we've recommended that, and we haven't had any interest, nobody's come forward and said, boy, I'd like to be on that commissioner board, that we just remove that from the municipal code. There are two others. There is our Economic Development Commission, which I think most of you are familiar with. The 6 members that have served on that have been various members. We're meeting initially every month, and then they went to every other month, and based on conversations with that commission, they would be content to meet on a quarterly basis, could meet more often if something came up and we were looking for some advisory discussion. But what's proposed here is that change in the frequency of the meeting. The most substantive is in the Landmark Commission. We need to have a Landmark Commission because under the rules of how landmark buildings in historic districts are established at the local level and at higher levels, there has to be some review by the body that is establishing them. We have, as you can tell by the background, as if you've looked in municipal code, you can see that we have a number of buildings of historic significance that have been identified by the council. And although that may only be a handful in number, we also have historic districts which include a lot of buildings that aren't individually included, but we feel that the mix of buildings and the area, whether it's around a public park or whatever, justified the designation in the first place ought to be preserved. The concern here is that this commission also hasn't had, although it was created in 1978, it's been many years since it's met. And as I understand it, one of the key reasons is because the way the language was written in the code, it was not to be advisory but more of a regulatory body. And I went to some detail to explain how that would play out. A lot of people who might want to volunteer realized they weren't getting paid enough to go face-to-face with somebody and say, you can't put vinyl siding on your house, or you can't change your windows, or whatever. So my proposal is to freshen this up, to keep the commission, even to add one more building, which I think City Hall certainly qualifies for that, the Nearing building. And I'm looking, although we don't have the owner's permission yet, but I'm looking to approach the Union Pacific to look at the historic train depot. But that's down the road in another conversation. So what I'm proposing here is that what we don't have, and I know Don Harper would like to have, particularly as people come forward in these historic districts, is a nice folder or or digital folder of every known photograph, painting, picture, detail of particular houses that are in that district. There was a reason why people thought there should be a district there. And some may have more significance than others architecturally, but I think people would enjoy pulling that together. It's a great project for volunteers. You can keep it fresh. Houses are organic. They change from time to time. People fix them up and they do things. And unfortunately, because of what we have, and because we haven't had a landmark commission, there are houses in the district, if we just follow the municipal code, which is what our building department's bound to do, there are houses that just keep deteriorating. The people are afraid to fix the soffits, go to a metal-clad or a vinyl-clad window. and so forth. And it's very expensive to do it the old-fashioned way, which is to repair all the old fir siding and do an oil-based paint every 3 to 5 years. It's and a lot of these are two-story buildings, so what homeowners are interested in that? Not so many anymore. So I've repeated a lot of what's in the background, but just to make it very clear, we're not looking to end this commission, but to give it new life, refresh its purpose, and to also invite some information to flow from it to the building department. So as people come in, maybe unbeknownst to the Landmark Commission, for a permit to do this or that, there's a guide for what they might consider doing before they proceed to a permit.
Council, questions, comments? Hearing none, roll call.
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 ayes.
Ordinance 2022-024 passes on first reading. I would take a motion to waive second reading.
Move to waive second reading and approve?
Second?
Moved by Alderman Verbic, seconded by Alderman McAdams. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 ayes.
Ordinance 2022-024, second reading has been waived. Moving on to number 2, ordinance 2022-025, authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $4,300,000 general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2022 of the City of DeKalb, Illinois. Can I have a motion?
So moved?
Second?
Moved by Alderman Verbic, seconded by Alderman Favor. City Manager.
Thank you. This came to you at the last regular meeting and at that time as a consideration, but we had some conversation. There is a savings opportunity that we at the staff level are recommending that we pursue, and that has to do with the library bonds, which is Series 2013A. And we're familiar with the library bonds from the tax levy discussions we've had in recent years. At that meeting, the council directed me to work with our finance director and also with the people from Baird Finance to prepare an ordinance. That's what's before you tonight. It's important that we proceed tonight to action on this because we are working against a lot of volatility in the market, and we have an upcoming Fed meeting which may add more royal to this volatility. So we're asking for your support on both readings tonight.
Questions or comments, Council? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 ayes.
Ordinance 2022-025 passes on first reading.
Motion to waive second reading and approve?
Second.
Moved by Alderman Verbic, seconded by Alderman Perkins. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 ayes.
Ordinance 2022-025, second reading has been waived. Moving on to number 3, ordinance 2022-026, approving an amendment to ordinance 2021-015 to extend the time limit to July 1st, 2023 to obtain a state-issued cannabis dispensary license for the property located at 818 West Lincoln Highway, New Med Partners. Can I have a motion?
So moved?
Second.
Moved by Alderman Verbic, seconded by Alderwoman Morris. City Manager.
New Med Partners came to us in April 2020, said we'd like to open a cannabis dispensary, and at that time we went through the process, the planning process, and then the council action to give them a special use permit. They had already identified a location, and we talked about that in the whole process, at 818 West Lincoln Highway, the Junction Shopping Center. And for the next year, no decision had been made at the state level, and then we authorized, the council authorized an extension to July 1st of this year to wait out, as you know, there was a stay on the award of state licenses for much of the last year. Now there's been some recent action. It's coincidental that it's happening at this time, but there still is, there still are decisions to be made downstate. And so NewMed has come to us. They don't want to be without that space and without the permit at the local level. So they've been very patient through all of this. Jim Hughes is in the audience tonight, and we'll answer any questions about the company if you're interested. The Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing on their petition for an extension, and by unanimous vote of those members who were present last week, recommended to you that you support the extension, and at the staff level, we support their recommendation.
Council, any comments? Hearing none, roll, Alderman Perkins.
So what's the crystal ball say with what's going on
Right.
downstate? Any idea?
Right.
Jim Hughes with Next Generation. We're part of the flag of NewMed, co-petitioners with them. We have been told July 22nd, they're going to issue the first wave of the applications that have been won in the lottery. Not the entire 185, but the first wave. What does that mean? We don't know. My brother-in-law, Bob Fitzsimmons, who's been before you, who's the smart guy in the crowd, just the real estate guy, is going downstate tomorrow to try and get more answers to when, how, and where, and why. But that is where what we've been told is July 22nd, and it was in the Tribune.
It's top secret.
Over the,
Lottery's
over
top
the weekend,
secret.
it was in the.
We'll let you know what it is.
Yeah. If you hear first, please let us know. We are committed to DeKalb, to the location. Richard Finn has been a delight. We've been paying rent all along on this with the belief that we will get to the finish line, and we hopefully have the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a freight train. So that's where we're at. We appreciate your patience and you working with us, and we look forward to getting this thing going.
Any other comments, Council?
And just,
Yeah.
I stay in touch monthly with Bill and Dan on where we're going, what's going on, so it's a consistent and constant. I just don't come out once a year to see all of you, even though I did, and I was here last week and saw the price of gas. I decided to fill up this week out here compared to DuPage County. It's a lot less. But again, we appreciate your patience and we appreciate you working with us, and we look forward to getting things going. Okay?
Anything else?
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Roll call, please.
McAdams,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
8 ayes.
Ordinance 2022-026 passes on first reading. I take a motion to waive second reading and approve.
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Perkins, seconded by Alderwoman Morris. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, roll call.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes.
Yes.
8 ayes.
Ordinance 2022-026, second reading is waived. Thank you, sir. All right, moving on to agenda item M4, ordinance 2022-027, amending the fiscal year-end December 31st, 2021 budget. City manager. Oh, no, can I have a motion to bring it to the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Favor, seconded by Alderman Verbic. City manager.
So this is a good news story, but there's always a twist. So in December of 2020, as we were wrestling with the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, We had a very cautious estimate of what we thought the 2021 general revenues would be for the general fund. And so we bid low, so to speak. And then about halfway through 2021, we realized that's a little bit better. One of the big things that helped us was the local use tax. So if you're looking at sales and use taxes, that is what applies particularly to internet sales, and there was a lot of that, a big increase in our area anyway during the height of that pandemic. But we still aim too low. Well, good news on the revenue side, but we also have some revenue sharing partnerships, as you know. So as those revenues went up, we had to spend more, and so we've been here before in the last couple of months. We spent more than we estimated we would spend on those contracts. And so, according to the generally accepted accounting principles, we, at our auditor's request, need to make an adjustment. That's described on the table on the last page of your agenda tonight. Still, the balance is all to the good, but we had to make some adjustments in the budget before all is said and done, and all is really said and done. So we need to get this, the CAFR, not the CAPER, the CAFR that's coming to you at the next regular meeting needs to have this information, and we have to do this tonight.
Council? Hearing no questions or comments, roll call, please.
Favor?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
McAdams?
Yes.
Verbic?
Yes.
Mayor Barnes?
Yes.
8 ayes.
Ordinance 2022-027 passes on first reading. I would take a motion to waive and approve second reading.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Alderwoman Larson, seconded by Alderman Favor. Discussion? Since there was a hesitation? No? All right. Roll call, please.
Morris?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
McAdams?
Yes.
Verbic?
Yes.
Favor?
Yes.
Mayor Barnes?
Yes.
8 ayes.
Second reading for ordinance 2022-027 has been waived. All right. Moving on to agenda item N, reports and communications. Alderwoman Larson, you want to kick us off?
Sure, I just have a couple of things with the warm weather coming up and some of the horrible stories coming out of the city. Please watch for bicyclists, and if you're on a bicycle, please don't think that they'll see me. Assume they don't. Just everyone try to be safe. And that there's a lot going on in our city, especially like at Hopkins. It's busy with concerts and movies and everything. So go out and enjoy what our city has to offer. And then one thing personally, on June 23rd, there'll be the Pride Parade starting at the Egyptian.
Alderman Perkins.
Had a ward meeting a few weeks ago. Want to thank everyone for coming out to that. We had it over at Kiwanis on Fairview. Between the raindrops, we managed to get it done, and again, just thanks everyone for coming out. Appreciate the thoughts and input.
Alderman Burbick.
Yes, Zach, I'd like to pass along the crews that are working on the sidewalks and the knolls are doing an outstanding job of cleaning up their workspace when they're done, neatly stacking the concrete and all the blocks that they're removing, and so just wanted to pass along our thanks.
Awesome. Alderman Favor.
Yeah, so last week was the EAA fly-in. On Saturday, they flew the Young Eagles. I think they had 57 or 58 members of our, young members of our city got their first airplane ride. And then there were 350 meals that were served on Sunday morning to go for their fundraiser for a scholarship for aviation. We said it's getting warm out there and the grass is growing like weeds. Be sure to take care of your lawn, keep it mowed. If your neighbor needs help, if you can extend a hand to them, that would be wonderful. If not, you can give your alderman a call and we can see what we can do to get that taken care of. Thanks.
Did you fly anyone that day?
I did. I flew eight young passengers.
It's cool you did that, yeah. Alderman McAdams.
No report.
Alderman Smith.
Back to the 13th and 14th, again, thanks Brian and Zach. They're working on a plan to get the dust down. But again, thank you to the residents for being patient. A lot of money's going into that area. I don't think people realize we're probably close to $4 million all said and done from all the agencies involved. So, great job. Thank you.
Alderwoman Morse.
No report.
So me, went to the Ward 4 meeting. It was a really good meeting. Lots of people turned up, great questions, so that was really cool. And it's been fun attending all the ward meetings I've been a part of. And I think it's great we all do that. Had an opportunity to DeKalb meeting. That's the group that used to be the Annie Glidden North Commission. You know, spirited group, really trying to drive a lot of positive change in the area, and I think they're doing an amazing job. So it's been good to be a part of that group, and collectively we've been talking about how can we raise the bar and make a larger impact, not only just in that area, but overall DeKalb, bring opportunity to the entire community. So that was fun. The Memorial Day Parade was awesome. Scott Zach, my understanding is someone helped drive that. If any of you came out to that, that was it was well attended. Yeah, we had 28, Scott? Entries, yeah, exactly. The chief drove me around in the ATV, which was a lot of fun. But I really look forward to building upon that in future years. But just a fantastic, wonderful event. And then the downtown, like 13th and 14th Street, stuff's happening down there. Streets are getting cut up, sidewalks getting dug up. So definitely appreciate the patience of all the downtown business owners. But I think it's going to be transformational, and I really look forward to seeing that done well before Corn Fest. Right, Zach? Perfect. All right, City Manager, do you have anything?
Just briefly, I appreciate more than I can say the work of our department heads. When I single one out, I'm always mindful that the others are working just as hard and doing great things. But I'm going to single out Zach Gill tonight. This is a career year for him, season I should say. He's got a lot of more projects than he's ever had, at least in this town, to go. The bad news is that he's not a free agent at the end of the year. He's stuck with us for life, so no bargaining power.
Do I gavel that, or
Yeah.
how's that work? Okay, yeah. That's funny. All right, moving on to executive session, we have none. And with that, agenda item P, adjournment. I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman McAdams, seconded by Alderman Smith. I mean, we can stick around and talk more if you guys want, you know? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nay, same sign. We are adjourned.
Yeah, right.
No, well, you didn't.
Yeah, I think so. Despite the usual.